All right, hi everybody, Mr. Washam here. I'm going to help you out with some hints and tips for your What is Matter made of lab, all right, that you want to get filled out here for the quiz tomorrow. So I may not go in a specific order, but here we go with the items that I have. So let's see, we'll just start with this one. This was sample number 10, and it had the red little stopper on it. But sample number 10, even if you pulled the stopper off, there's nothing in there. That's because it's the same as everything that you're breathing right now. So that is your big hint as you breathe right now. There's your big hint for sample number 10. So you might want to look up the composition of the air, and you will find that it's mainly composed of two main elements, and then you want to kind of see what their percentages are, and you can find out exactly what the answer is for that. All right. This is what we got here. This is sample number 12. Seriously, you didn't need any help with this. All right. So the penny. But what is the penny actually made of? I know now it's like a mixture of metals, but what's the main metal that we think of this color, right, that a penny is made from? And go with that as your answer. So what's the main single metal that we would think a penny is being made of? All right, number 11. So number 11, there you go. We should all know what that is. You put it on your fries, burgers, hot dogs, whatever else you like to dip in it. But if you look it up, it has a lot of ingredients, right? So the main thing you're looking for with number 11 is, I'll show you here, is it's right here in your ingredients. It's the very first ingredient listed after tomato, high fructose corn syrup. High fruit, good stuff. Anything good that you eat has high, not really, but anything that's really tasty, like candy that you eat, has high fructose corn syrup in it. Check out fructose, keyword fructose. All right, so that was 10, 11, and 12. Just kind of keep working backwards here. Number 9 was this guy. So it was the granulated. So you look at it, it's got like crystals to it. So it's white, it's powdery, it's got crystals. Those would all be under the physical description. And it's something you use for seasoning, which we call table salt. So if you look up table salt, you can find the chemical formula for salt. All right. It may even be under the ingredients on the back. I haven't even looked at that. But if you just look for the chemical formula of salt, you will find the answer. All right. Number 8 is also granulated. It's crystalled. It's white. It's a kind of maybe kind of a powdery type substance. But this is the hint I gave you for it was pouring it in your sweet tea. Right. We also we find it in a lot of food that it's a very common substance, and yes, it is sugar. So if you look up sugar, the chemical formula, you will find a very common chemical formula that's used a lot, specifically in photosynthesis when we get there. All right. And then here we go. Here's number 7. I said that it was used in baking. And so that was my big hint for baking powder. And it's the main ingredient listed. If you flip it over to the back of the ingredients, you would see that it has sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate. So check that out for chemical formula for baking powder, sodium bicarbonate. You'd get the answer you're looking for. But again, it's a white, powdery substance, all right, under physical descriptions. And number 6. Number 6 was our tablet. All right, and my big hint on the tablet was the Plop Plop Fizz Fizz, and once you search that up, you would probably find some version of Alka-Seltzer. This is the Equate brand, but still the same thing. And when you look up Plop Plop Fizz Fizz for the Alka-Seltzer, the main thing in it, the main ingredient is aspirin, which we commonly think of as aspirin, but aspirin, look that up under for Alka-Seltzer, all right? And you will find the chemical formula for aspirin with an extra N at the end, all right? Or an extra I in it, excuse me. All right, I'll be back with your other samples in just a second. All right, so we're back to the final samples, and we'll start with sample number 1, which I'm actually going to put sample 1 and 3 and 5. So 1, 3, and 5 are all clear liquids. They are odorless and they are colorless. So you might want to have that in your notes. They are all odorless and colorless. So if I smell between 1 and 3, I don't even notice a difference. And the same in 5, although I can see some stuff settle to the bottom of 5. but it's still odorless and colorless and a clear liquid. All right, so we'll start with 5. It's the easiest one to see. It's got stuff sitting at the bottom. My hint for this was the beach, and so you should know when you go to the beach. And if you were allowed to taste this, you'd be like, oh my gosh, it tastes like salt water, which it is. So what is salt water made of? There's two things, right? Salt and water. What are those two things chemically? All right, and then we'll just move down to number 3. So number 3 and number 1 are only different by one letter in their chemical formula. Number 3 I mentioned is something you can use on cuts. All right, so here's my big hint. Used on cuts as the bottle. Check it out, right? So what would that be? Okay, that's number 3, odorless, colorless. Number 1 is just good old, need a drink, take a drink of it. But again, odorless and colorless. You could drink that if you wanted to. Number 2. So number 2 is also a clear liquid, but it is not odorless. It has a distinct odor to it. It has a smell, and you should recognize the smell of one of two things. It's like a cleaning product, so we associate it with pools and chlorine, but it's actually just regular old like cleaning product here. You using your laundry detergent or anything like that. So check out what you can find for the chemical formula of bleach. And then that leaves us with 2 more. Number 5, not 5, what was it? Number 4. Number 4 is also a clear liquid, but it's also not odorless. It has a distinct smell to it. And that smells a lot like sample number 11. That's because you can find this in sample number 11. But in this case, it's just on its own. So this is, you probably have vinegar at your house. It's used a lot in cooking. So what is the chemical formula for vinegar? And finally, the last one is number 13. Again, it is also a clear liquid, but it is not odorless. It has a distinct smell to it. And it's also used for cuts and scrapes and used in hospitals a lot. And so we commonly, like when we smell it, it is really, really strong. And we kind of think of like an alcohol smell, but rubbing alcohol would be the better thing to look up. So start by searching rubbing alcohol and see what you can find from there. All right, those were all the samples. I hope you guys have filled out your sheet because tomorrow there will be a quiz. Don't forget, is it an element, compound, or mixture? And you can get that from your pyramid notes. Have a good one.